Good day. How you guys all
Ew.
doing? Welcome to Wednesday night, 9:30. Glad you're joining us. We've had, well, kind of a bit quieter, but still quite an interesting week. I don't know.
Mhm.
How are you doing, Deana?
Today's a great day. This week is level up week. I leveled up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Care to share you leveled up, or is that information coming later?
It'll make sense in about 5 months from now.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Well, at least sounds like you're having a good day.
I am. Guess who's
I'm,
not having a good day?
let me tell you about who's not having a good day. Mr.
Oh,
Barber on
wah, wah,
Twitter.
wah. Where is it, Joe? Where is
Did
it?
it play?
No, it didn't play.
Didn't play? Oh my
No.
goodness, I sound terrible for having
Wah,
done
wah.
that and not done.
Poor Chris Barber.
There we go.
There it is.
So, yes, apparently he said something that
I
wasn't
wanna know
permitted
what
on
he
Twitter.
said.
I want to know too.
I wanna know what it was. Anyone have that?
Hmm.
Maybe he'll post it on Facebook. We should check his Facebook and shed tears.
Absolutely. I'm curious to find out what it is. Sure, it's going to be something stupid, offensive. Who knows?
Probably.
Possibly, yeah. Aside from that, it's been pretty good. I myself doing well. Buying toys, doing some stuff. Things are coming in.
Yeah, fucking
Just
political
buying toys.
extremist that you are.
I know. I like for some reason somebody will call me political extremist, which I'm like, all right. I'd like to know what about me makes me a political extremist. But they never say that. They seem to always fall short on proof, details, evidence. Kind
Well,
of stuff.
speaking of proof and evidence, Kurt
Mhm.
here says that he's saying hi from Australia, but
Oh, hi.
Kurt, we know Australia doesn't exist. So
It's true.
prove it.
Ah. And yes, Chelsea. I think you might be correct. I think it might be the bandana that makes me an extremist. Apparently, it makes throwing a
It's the
bandana.
beard,
You just
actually.
seem extreme.
It's the beard.
The beard, it's the bandana, the whole thing going on. Apparently,
Yep.
that's just those extremist. So, uh, oh well. But speaking of weird, crazy, extreme things, you were at a movie filming, and actually, we streamed that
Yeah.
film. That film, and it was a
Yeah,
really good
thanks.
film. You can go take a look at our archive about it. But there
So
was an incident that we heard about.
right, well, first, Films for Palestine is an
Mhm.
initiative that I'm part of, and we did a film screening, called Roadmap to Apartheid, and it was such a great documentary. And so, yeah, thanks for streaming that for anybody who wants to see it. We had the High Commissioner of South Africa come and speak to the group and everybody who was online. We sold out in a few days, and then we had over 100 virtual registration. The feedback has been so great. So our next film screening, I highly suggest you guys keep in touch and stay tuned so that you can be part of it, whatever way it's available to you. But yeah, so then there were two panelists as well, and the documentary is basically how the South African apartheid mirrors the Palestinian apartheid, and you get a lot of history and hear a lot. So it ties in with the fact that South Africa brought Israel to the IJC, right? To the ICJ, the International Court of Justice.
Right.
Anyway, so one of the panelists was answering a question about resistance and what forms of resistance are necessary for this. And he spoke to all forms of resistance are necessary. Every act is something that is bringing us closer, even if you don't see the results right away. Anyway, when he tried answering the question, that's when one of our guests had an outburst. And
I can help out with that. So the outburst in question would be this. Find the.
No, shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. All forms of resistance.
That was you at the end, wasn't it?
That was me. And when he first got up and he made a comment when he was sitting down, he had an outburst when he was sitting down, and then people just looked and then they went back to looking at the speakers. And then when the speaker tried to continue, he had another outburst, but this time he stood up, and you guys didn't see the before stuff that happened, but he had gotten up and then somebody had asked him to leave and he said, no, you need to call the police instead. And then he started going forward into the aisle and somebody had stopped him. And, anyway, so the best response to that is not to try to push the guy out or whatever. I just started chanting, shame on you. And by the second one, the entire room started to chant it at the same time. And then the others were helping him leave. And then the person, as soon as he left, the person that started clapping was me, to get everybody to feel good about the fact that it was, he was removed and there was no incident. And it was a conversation about what kind of resistance is appropriate. And so that's why after he had left, I said all forms of resistance. And then the South African delegate panelists, ended up speaking.
I do remember the
It.
discussion. Yeah, I do remember that particular point of the discussion. Again, you guys can go take a look in our archives and our videos there to go see the question and that particular point where that particular part occurred. But yeah, it was, and it's also something that I've been thinking about in regards to some discussions with people in regards to resistance and protesting and action and what's valid. Technically, they're all valid. They're all effective to different ways and different means.
I mean, what he was doing was a form of resistance as well. So
absolutely,
right,
absolutely. So to say that one's more valid than another one, or one is justified while another one's not, no. There's a discussion in regards to something called diversity of tactics, and it's just saying that one specific method is not sufficient most often.
It's not.
And so that it's going to always expand if you're going to be able to do whatever your protesting is, whatever your advocacy or whatever the message is. Sometimes you might be able to get lucky. It's just going to be something simple in regards to straightforward picket line and chanting. And within a couple of days, the two sides agree, and that's all that's needed. Fantastic.
It's rarely ever the case.
Exactly. It's rarely ever the case. And more sometimes needs to be done.
Especially when it comes to human rights, it's rarely ever the case. Like
you're going to protest, they're going to change their tactics to protect themselves, and so you need to adapt. So that's.
But the rest of the night was amazing.
Oh yeah,
and
it's true. We saw Camilla.
Camilla ended up making them bracelets that had the Palestinian flag colors with a gold bead separating the colors. It was beautiful. And so she was able to put them on their wrists, and it was nice. I love this initiative, and we're gonna be doing documentaries for the next year probably. We just had a meeting right before we talked, and we're going to have another meeting very soon, but there's so many
So 2 questions. Are they looking as a weekly thing, or is it gonna be a monthly thing? What's the schedule?
We don't. We need to. We put together this documentary film screening in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we had never worked together before, and we pulled it together and did an amazing job. Like, it was fantastic, and it's garnered a lot of interest. And so we're going to have those discussions and we're going to figure it out. But we have already ideas for March. Um, we might be looking to take this to another city because we've been invited to take this to another city. So it's a thing. It's a really great,
Excellent.
super duper amazing initiative. I'm so excited.
It sounds exciting. It
So
sounds
excited.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. It sounds really good. I mean, the movies like that. I mean, the movie that they aired there was fantastic to watch.
Amazing choice. Yeah.
It was an
I had
incredible
nothing to
choice.
do with that choice other than watched it beforehand and said, "Oh my god, I love this movie." It's just this movie doesn't make you feel any better. It just makes you smarter about what's going on. Like, yeah,
I mean, for
for me
myself,
it
and
did.
even so, as it's entertaining for me to be able to watch. As I was watching the movie, I had sort of had my private room, kind of the way it felt, because I'm watching it. I'm also reading the comments as people are sort of expressing themselves and watching it. And that particular movie, though, I think for that one and probably some others, it might be something to discuss with people, just to make sure that if we're filming it and we're also restreaming it, to also let people know there could be trigger warnings in regards to this, and
Mhm.
that. And that's just to be
Oh, yeah.
safe, to be kind to people. I know a couple of people mentioned that some of the stuff was very difficult to watch at certain points.
So at the actual
Mhm.
screenings, we have people who are there who are trained in mental health, and trauma related incidences or issues. So we have them there. Unfortunately, we can't, you gave me a good idea that I'll pass to the team, but we don't really have anything for anybody who's going to be watching it virtually. So yeah, the
Yeah,
warning has to go out. But
that's it. Yeah.
perhaps we could put up a line or something where people can call if they are feeling some sort of triggers or anything like that.
So yeah, definitely, I'd say something we can immediately do, because it's efficient enough and cost efficient, is just to at least put out the warning saying,
Hmm.
if you're going to be viewing this thing, whether we put this as if whether we're helping out in advertising on social media, or even as the movie's beginning, preparing people for whatever is going to come across of violence, what kind of action, or what they're going to be seeing. But number two, yeah, I mean, if that's available to do call support or some other kind of support,
Hmm.
be fantastic too. At
Yeah.
least the minimum, if that could be done, I think that could have helped in regards to some people, just to prepare themselves what they're going to be coming up across,
Yeah.
or have the choice. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see if the next movies. Yeah. So now we're going to be moving over to Edmonton, who's right now dealing with Danielle Smith, aka the anti-trans bitch. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you looking at Kurt's
I just did.
comment?
So
Yeah, me too.
yeah, so
So
that's
it's
so
Pride
people who jump
Month.
up there. Hmm.
It's Pride Month in Australia right now. Mardi
LGBT community are going to LGBTQ rally tomorrow. No cops, no bigots. That's Sydney, Mardi Gras, and Pride Month. That's fantastic.
Yeah, pretty cool.
This is what it should be, pretty
But
much
Australia's
everywhere.
not real, so that doesn't actually happen.
Let's
Sounds
make it
too good
real.
to be true,
Just
Kurt.
that too.
It
That too.
sounds too good to be true.
Hopefully, we can make everywhere like that. But yeah, unfortunately, one place that's not like that right now is Alberta, who's right now has the premier who's trying to pass anti-trans laws. So luckily, um, not all of Alberta is feeling the same way in regards to at least Edmonton, the capital. who actually showed up, which is fantastic. So for those who aren't familiar completely with Danielle Smith, premier who's trying to bring in the anti-trans legislation and policies. So she announced on February 1st in a video that she's going to be passing these new policies. And the new policies are going to be, if they're passed, new rules would limit access to gender-affirming healthcare for the youth, ban trans athletes from competing in women's sports, change how sexual education is offered in schools, and legislate how and when students can change a name or pronoun. So, which is pretty much, as I think everybody here understands, none of this is good. It's not based on anything that's scientific. It's not based on anything from the medical community. It's not based on anything other than fear. So they did show up. They showed up in numbers. They did a great job in regards to on the legislation. But again, it was a last minute one, and they still did show up to try to make change. Is this going to be enough? I don't know. She's pretty much determined because she's Danielle Smith. But yeah.
Nice. Good for them.
So we're always encouraging people to show up, and when they can, please absolutely do. Numbers make a difference. Especially something like this, numbers sends a message.
Yeah.
Because right now, the least amount of resistance means this is an accepted idea. And the idea is we're not to make people feel comfortable being LGBTQ. Not comfortable making people, the Zionists, feel welcome. Not comfortable making Nazis feel. Don't make them feel welcome at all. Thoughts, Deana?
I know that Calgary has a big community allyship. I don't remember about Edmonton. Like, I don't remember. Did they have a million march?
Edmonton's pretty urban.
Yeah.
So it's significant. I think the difference between Alberta and Calgary may be also a bit of a financial number. But yeah, there's definitely, they're both pretty urban. So you're going to have more left in those two cities than the rest of Alberta. So I don't know the difference between Calgary and Edmonton, though. I don't know if there's enough of a, I don't know if it's close enough for them to easily go up there for a day.
I feel like it's a couple of hours away. I don't know. Honestly.
Yeah, but is it Ottawa, Montreal a couple of hours, or is it Ottawa, Toronto a couple of hours?
No idea. And I can't look because I don't have my phone.
So unprepared. So unprepared. I have to do everything, don't I?
Yeah, hopefully they have a big day where they protest Danielle Smith, like all of Alberta.
It's 3 hours. It's a 3-hour car ride. So.
It's Peterborough distance.
Actually, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's Peterborough distance. Thank you, Lisa. You're absolutely right. It's 3 hours. We're looking it up. And to us, as Deana said, it's Peterborough distance because that's what we drive. Yeah. Sometimes less if Deana's driving.
And the cops don't get me.
May have happened once. Same.
Only once. Just the one time I got caught.
Yeah.
Only once.
Fucking asshole. Gave me a ticket. Well, you're only going like, a little bit
95.
over the speed limit.
That's what my ticket was for.
Was it?
95. Yes.
Yeah, so he didn't really clock you well.
Clocked me just fine.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Heavily policed. So don't drive.
Don't let Deana drive. That's what you're saying. So I read there. I could see that as I imagine that particular highway between Calgary and Edmonton is a very trafficked highway. Like a lot of traffic goes between the 2 points because the two large urban centers. So Lisa's makes sense. Heavily police. It's no different than between Ottawa and Montreal. Like that's heavily trafficked, or the 401 heavily trafficked. So, still watch. Before we leave Alberta, got another story. This has to do with the Coutts boys. So, as you guys remember, we were talking about
The political prisoners.
the political
Free
prisoners.
the political prisoners.
Absolutely. So, two of them were set free after
Set
making a
free.
deal. Sorry?
Set free. You mean
Set free.
released?
They were set free, but now it's down to the
New
Coutts
charges.
3. It's down to the Coutts 3, including a new indictment that's in there. So, again, trying to keep track of the whole thing. So, one of those particular people, which is kind of interesting to watch, is the counselor for McLeod by the name of Marco. To this here, Marco van Huizenbos. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. A Fort McLeod town councillor who's set to go on trial for his role in the Coutts Alberta border protest has resigned. Marco van Huizenbos made the announcement during Monday's city council meeting. In the near future, I face significant challenges, both personal and legal. And Huizenbos said during the meeting, these challenges may indirectly cast our community and my role on council in a negative light. In consideration of this and my personal convictions, I've made a difficult decision to resign as councillor. Oh wait, there's more.
Oh God.
Van Huizenbos, along with fellow protesters Alex Van Herk and George Jansen, were both charged with mischief in connection with the protests that shut down traffic at Coutts Alberta Crossing in 2022. There's these three charges for these three people shortly after the release. And so there's some suspicions right now going on about in regards to people saying, was there information provided by the two that were released that brought these three in?
Oh, but their fans were so sure that they didn't do that. They were so sure that the Crown doesn't have enough evidence.
Yeah, so
Well,
Marco
I wonder how sure
talked.
they are now.
Well, you know what? I'd also be having questions too, because Marco's got some words here. And we're gonna let Marco explain this thing.
I can't wait.
I will hold my head high, even if that means jail time. Now that's me saying this here. I understand that. That's not going to be easy. And I have a young family, and it'll be harder for them. But I will not apologize. And as of right now, there is no remorse for what I've done. There is none. So I'm not now going to change my tune because there's consequences. That would be a disservice to everybody else who stood with us. And those 18 days, I stood strong and tall at times when others weren't able to, and I pulled the wagon. And there'll be times where people will have to pull the wagon for me, but when it comes to me standing in front of this court, I will continue to stand tall. I will respect the court. I will challenge the Crown. You can bet your ass that prosecutor is not somebody I'm going to kiss ass to. My lawyers have made me take down tweets and stuff at times, but I'm kind of done doing that too. The truth is what it is. The guy is a prick. Screw Steve Johnson, and let the courts determine on merit, on real factual merit, whether what we've done was illegal or not. So be it. And that being said, the consequences are what they may be. This is why we wanted to have a jury of our peers. We felt that at that time, public sentiment had a lot of opportunity to become more favorable, and it has. Being that the public is the jury pool. If you look at the Mosley decision, if you look at the sentiment that there are, toward the blockades and the protests, people may not have agreed with the tactics, but they're starting to realize that what was happening to society was
All
wrong,
judges
more and
need
more.
to be
So there's a good
dismissed.
chance that we're going to have jurors that may not. I don't see how anybody in this province isn't aware of the Coutts blockade.
You'd be surprised. I met some people.
Well, anyway, I hope that means they're probably apolitical. Yeah, this may have an impact on myself and my co-accused. But I will not, and I refuse to run my prosecution in a manner that belittles what we've done. I won't do it. And this is me talking to some of my co-accused as well. I won't do it. I will not do. I will not. I know what I did, and I know why I did it. And did I make mistakes? Absolutely, I made mistakes based on not having this wasn't something I had been trained for.
Right.
Looking at it as somebody who did most of the negotiations with the RCMP.
Look,
I wasn't trained for that. I would have had a team between myself and the RCMP. I didn't know that. I was directly doing that, and at times making decisions on the spot.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Me. If it was me, it wasn't me.
But it was me, and I know why I did it. But
It wasn't me.
Wasn't my fault. It was me. I know why I did it, but I wasn't trained for it, so it's not my fault.
And I was listening to this as I was going through it, and second, third time now I'm listening to it, and I'm like, every time, like, you're kind of saying, like, yeah, I know what I did was wrong, but I need a judge on my peers, which is like I want all my buddies to be on that judge, because what I feel was right. What I did was probably wrong. What I feel was right because I was justified in that
It felt
feeling.
good. It felt so good those 18 days
So
standing
good.
tall.
So good.
So good.
So good. Organizing.
Hold the wagon.
Hold the wagon. Hold the wagon?
I pulled the wagon.
Oh, pull the wagon.
We pulled the wagon. He
Little
didn't
red
fall
wagon?
off the wagon. He was pulling the wagon.
He's pulling something. Maybe over our eyes. But
Trying
yeah.
to. I liked that comment though that person said all judges need to be dismissed and replaced with whatever.
We're replaced with I think it was like citizens or something like that.
Yeah,
like it was just
accomplished citizens or something dumb like
Yeah,
whatever the hell that means.
it's
Yes.
again it's a lot of these guys pretty much diving into the very much this opposite stuff, like, oh, everything is corrupt, everything is terrible. So there's kind of looking at this, there's kind of sort of different levels of these guys. Like everything is Trudeau's fault. It's all Trudeau's fault because Trudeau, or the entire system's fault, and it's all got to be replaced. So you're kind of like dealing with yes, some of the people like the Carls or whatnot, who are like, everything's Trudeau's fault, he's bad, the Carls and Bouchers, and it's all Trudeau, and it's all gotta go, it's all terrible, it's all corrupt, but it's all Trudeau's fault. To the this guy, and I'd say what else was I just thinking about? I think of Johnny Rowe and a few others where it's the whole and Gordon Berry.
Gordon
Like
Berry,
yeah, where it's all terrible, it's all wrong, they're all illegal, and they all got to be arrested. What do you, Deana?
Even me. Even me and my rotten meat.
Exactly. You'd be arrested. We're still trying to find out if you get to pick which handcuffs are going to be used, or who gets to search you.
Who gets to arrest me?
Who gets to frisk you?
I tried. I tried to do it in practice when PPS was telling me I was being arrested.
I did finally hear one version where it's like, oh, you guys are arresting me? Who's using that? Who's using? I think you asked for who's going to bring out the fuzzy cuffs. I think the wording I heard.
It was just like, you're kidding me, right? You guys are fucking arresting me? Okay, let's play this game. Fuck.
Yeah.
So dumb.
It is absolutely ridiculous. But again, these guys have this absolute belief that that they're completely convinced that what they were doing is justified. Again, to remind you guys, Coutts boys were bringing in arms. Like we
Oh,
discussed this last week, they were bringing in arms into the lines to defend themselves and prepare to defend themselves. Like this was not a light
they
thing. This
want a
was
jury
severe.
of their peers, but do you remember during POEC when the mayor from the Alberta town
Mhm.
testified? Like he was not a fan of the convoy, and his whole town was not a fan of the convoy. Like
No, no, and it's especially since
people got hurt.
yeah,
Like people got hurt in that blockade. Some guy couldn't even get his fucking insulin. Like,
yeah,
and they didn't care. It wasn't even like, how can we facilitate this? This is about peace and love and taking care of each other. One of their own is
yeah,
like begging to get through so they can get their fucking insulin so they don't fucking die in front of their wife.
yeah,
Like, no, was it his wife was calling? I think his wife was calling on his
yeah,
behalf. I don't even remember, but it was just like, what the fuck? Like, these people are nuts.
yeah. No,
So they
absolutely.
can fuck right off.
It is, and it's one of those like, and I'd go back to it's like, well, these other protests doing the same. Like, yeah, but these other protests have a specific point. You guys had none. Because every time we talk to somebody different, we got a different answer as to what the hell you guys were there for.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, these guys were like just literally blocking everything, and so they're like, we need a fair trial where we be judged by peers. I'm like, listen, if you're gonna go to any of these towns that you seriously affected in a negative way,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna have a biased result there. I totally understand. Ottawa has a view. A large majority of Ottawa is going to have a view of how the convoy's there, especially if you have you get a jury of people who are just downtown core people, you're done.
Yeah.
Don't even bother presenting the case. You're done.
I think that'd be one of the questions for jury selection. Do you live
Probably.
downtown?
Did you live in the downtown? Yeah, you
This is
yeah, you're
going
done.
on. Yeah.
Might be biased, but then again, I think most people in Ottawa are gonna be biased because if you weren't downtown, you probably knew somebody who was downtown.
You knew.
Probably heard
You
it.
didn't have to
Yeah.
be downtown to know that it was fucking going on. I didn't live
You
downtown.
no, you
People,
didn't.
anybody who lived in Overbrook, anybody who lived in Vanier, anybody who lived in Centertown, Lower Town, downtown,
Yeah.
like it covered a really wide ranging area. They passed through Riverside, through Billings Bridge, so Southeast Ottawa, like they were everywhere, and they still are. And then they go like have their little tailgate parties at like the Canadian Tire just down the street from my house. Like, they're
I would be
everywhere. They're not
I would
just downtown. They're fucking everywhere.
I would be highly entertained if I was ever selected for
Jury
one of their
duty?
cases.
Not me. I'd make myself not be in that.
Oh, I would. No, I'd go. It's my civic duty. I
No,
would
I'd
be
go and
okay with it.
watch. I'd just go watch. I couldn't
Get
be a
paid to go
jury.
watch.
I'd just be giving faces the whole time, like,
But let's be honest here.
like, fuck
Let's
your
be
duty.
honest here.
Yeah,
We're
they
not
were.
unknown to them. I'm pretty sure one of the Wellington regulars would be there and would probably point out, going, "You can't let that person be on the jury." Period.
Guilty. Can we leave now?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I might have some fun right at the beginning of it, going like, it's like, yeah. Have you heard of this person or any connection to it? Like this guilty motherfucker right here,
Yeah.
one that shit on our streets and did all sorts of other shit.
That's how I
Your
would.
Honor.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say what I'd want to say, but then that'd be the last thing I'd say. I'd be out of the courtroom.
I try to figure it out. But more than likely, if you get called for, you need to go. Just it's the law.
You go.
If you
but
get kept or selected, that's up to
That's
them. And then, let's be honest here. They'll know who we are.
Mhm.
If they don't, well then, we'll just be a citizen of Ottawa. And don't apparently like us. Oh, got something else here. So we're still in Ottawa here and still connected to the convoy. Less to the convoy and now more to this comes up in regards to um protesting in Ottawa as of late. So some people might not know. I think Deana doesn't know. Some people at protests have been using megaphones and been receiving tickets. I don't know if you've heard about this, Deana, at all, or not. Like,
What
feels like it might
could
be
you
new
be talk-
information to you.
What could you be talking about?
Totally, totally. So
Have you seen what's on my front door?
you need to get a picture of it so it's nicely
I
cropped
did
and
get a
whatnot, so
picture of
that
it.
so we can post it up and show people.
I
Oops,
still have to add the one more bubble. So when I add that one more bubble, then I will. So
get the bubble
yeah,
and get that up there.
we'll show
Sorry,
everybody.
we got my little protester in here going off. So they're right now having discussions right now. The police board has not been having a great week in regards to having to address many things. So this is the first one we're going to discuss, and this has to do with what the general public right now in Ottawa has been viewing as uneven police practices, particularly in regards to megaphones being at events, and the fact that megaphones are being ticketed by local protests. Sorry, at local protests.
Yeah.
We saw it at the pro-Palestine rally. We saw it at the anti-trans.
Well, the anti Danielle Smith rally.
The anti-Danielle Smith rally because of her trans policy coming out. We've seen quite a few, including even like labor actions, from my understanding, that they've been doing it at those things too.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just sort of like
all
this
of a sudden.
All of a sudden they've decided to shotgun approach all these tickets.
Yeah.
And so Paul Champs had a chance to actually talk to the police, police board to have to express like this is not a good thing. And you know what? I'll let his words take over.
So those are the basic things: taking up street space, using megaphones. Those are classic protest activities, and giving tickets to labor leaders or protesters. It's a bit corrosive to our civic culture right now, and our great traditions of protest in the city of Ottawa. In the context of strikes, Mr. Chair, Section 102 of the Courts of Justice Act speak to labor disputes and about policing and the balance of policing and when there should be injunctions. And so I'm saying it's inherent in our law. We recognize there's going to be disputes. We recognize there's going to be issues, and sometimes where the police will take a more restrained pose because of the public safety circumstances. But that doesn't mean that we start like giving tickets to people because they're on a street. What you do is you take a step back and you shut down the street, because that's where people are supposed to be protesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, where else do they want us to protest? Have they forgotten?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, if you don't give people the space to be political, to express themselves, they'll go find spaces. They'll go start doing things. If you start saying this is going to be a fine, this is going to be severe, this is going to be there, well, you got to watch out how much that's going to cost, because suddenly it might cost the same as some other action you'd rather they don't do more.
What peeved me is watching. I did watch some of it after Paul Champ had said his remarks.
Mhm.
I don't know when I jumped in, but I jumped into the point where Eric Stubbs starts listing off, since 2022, we've given 270 warnings. And that's a fucking joke. Because a lot of those warnings were probably given at the convoy and nothing was done about it. And then all of a sudden you have the tickets start rolling in. So you're just proving our point even more, that it's uneven policing and uneven bylaw fining. Like there's two different rules. And then the whole fireworks situation. any other group that started putting out, like, setting off fireworks in a parking lot. Are you for real? Like, anybody else? Anybody else?
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to
Oh, we
that one in
are? Okay.
particular. Yeah.
All right.
That we're gonna
Just
get to.
so
I just want to focus
Yeah.
on the megaphones right now, but we're
Sure.
gonna get to the fireworks thing after. But yeah, it's so there's a bit of a disagreement in regards to the uneven policing. Like, you know, if you ask the right, this like they've been massively fined, massively this, massively that. I question that in regards to, I will absolutely believe it. I do need to see some tickets. Because you guys all got tickets. And I
saw
obviously, you know, redact stuff. That's fine.
I
I've
put
seen
a
your
ticket
tickets.
in Mathieu's hand. Like, I fixed, because he let it fall to the ground and I picked it up. And then I put it in his hand, and then he put it back on my jacket in one of the lives. And then I put it in my pocket, and then I reminded him that his address was on it and that he probably didn't want it to be on the ground, and he didn't have to worry I wasn't going to announce his address or
Yeah.
whatever. And then he asked me for it back, so I gave it to him back.
Okay,
So
so Ven got one.
Ven got one. Steve,
Okay.
Three Stitch Steve got one. After the
Okay.
Palestinian protest, they followed him and gave him a ticket, but he let it fall to the ground. They think that if it falls to the ground, they're not going to have to deal with it, but they do. And then now your address is on the ground. Somebody has your address now, so you probably just want to pick it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
But they just started getting them. And
Yeah.
it still doesn't excuse the fact that they've been more extreme on some of the things that they've done, and nothing has happened at all.
It is. And it's one of those that you need to be consistent in regards to what it is. And so
And the danger it poses.
It is. So
The
I had
danger it
no
poses.
yeah. I mean, I was not crazy about the megaphones and the sound devices in front of Parliament Hill, but I can't disagree with the Wellingtons on this one. The same way as I can't say that, you know, I can't say we are not allowed to use megaphones and sound devices during protests, and not say they're not allowed to do it either. During specific hours, sure.
Stubbs was trying to say that the only time they'll do that is if they're yelling profanities out of the megaphone, or yelling in a bylaw or police officer's ear with the megaphone.
So if if somebody takes a large and very loud sound device into somebody's ear, then I can absolutely see that as being a form of assault, especially if it's intentional. If it's something that's accidental, that's kind of a great thing. And it's, but yeah, if there is that could be construed as assault because you're trying to get up to the person's eardrum. You're intending to try to damage them is what you're trying to do. Yelling profanity, I'm like, all right.
But nobody was
I'm not
yelling
sure what that law
profanities
is.
at the Palestinian protest, and nobody
No,
was
none.
taking the megaphone and putting it in their ears or whatever. So
No.
That's all bullshit. And it was really
Yep.
frustrating to hear his bullshit, because they come to you when you're yelling in your megaphone. We don't go
Yep.
to them yelling in our megaphones. And so when they come to us to give us a ticket, we are yelling in our megaphones. So
Yep.
the ticket was already being written or had the intention of being written. So to listen to Stubbs like try to bullshit that through the conversation was extremely disheartening, because I am losing any little ounce of faith I had in our police force by the fucking day, to be honest. And then to listen to the leadership talk like that, like we're all a bunch of fucking idiots. That's
It's the leadership I don't want to get away with. And it's not to say that we don't have our issues at the lower ranks, but this particular thing, I want to land straight onto where it is, which is none of the individual bylaw officers would have been trying to do that. They're not, again, people are not going to do work they don't have to do work. Some might be zealous, maybe. But still, somebody was ordering them to do the tickets. these particular tickets, but they've never done these tickets before at all. And now they started doing this in regards to megaphones. No, somebody told them that was a good idea to do it, and it was not somebody at the lower level.
No, of course.
And so, yeah, this needs to be raked over on the board and everybody else who's in charge of bylaw, because you guys did dangerous things for stupid reasons. And you need to tell us what those reasons are, so I can tell you why they're stupid. That's it. So,
yeah.
Because again, all it does is cause danger. And again, megaphones are protests. That's it. If I was using a megaphone at 11 o'clock at night, yeah, you got valid reason to yell at me for it. If I'm honking my horn at 11 o'clock at night, absolutely, give me the ticket and throw me in jail or whatever you have the right to do. But once you start doing that, at least, then we can talk about megaphones.
Well, when you're honking the horn like 24 hours a day, it's a big difference than if you're walking through the street for 2 hours chanting and using megaphones, or even a day protest because you're striking or whatever it is that's going on.
Yeah, strike actions usually, the protests and picket lines are usually during the day. That's it. That's all.
That's right. And then they're done.
Where am I? Oh,
Someone
yes.
wants to join.
The Jenny.
Jenny out. Oh, she's not waiting till I get comfortable. She just hopped
No.
on.
Animals don't wait.
No,
Animals never wait. It's all about them. You're just thinking about them. That's it. That's all. Totally. But still the police board. So as we were mentioning, the megaphones is not the only incident that was to be discussed. No. Fireworks. Because, that occurred. So as a bit of a refresher, I'm going to share with you the clip we showed last week about the fireworks. Because there's some stuff I want to make sure everybody remembers.
Ottawa police have pulled over a car and they were trying to find someone for honking here in Ottawa. They were met with chants of arrest Trudeau, and it looks like they have changed their minds and are bailing out. Oh, man.
This cop is not happy.
And at the police board meeting, they tried to say the cops didn't see the fireworks.
It's true.
Like, why are you lying to us? You think we all didn't see this video? And if you didn't see this video, then you're not doing your job, cops.
Yeah.
Like, how did you not see this video?
So, Convoy Watch, which is a Substack run by Luc Lebar, which I absolutely invite everybody to go take a look at. I believe I even retweeted this particular story here. Did a great job in covering this, and also got some good footage in regards to the events, and sort of helped break down this particular point, because a lot of the content from Convoy Watch is actually used in regards to some of this thing. So one of the big things here, let me start off here. Ottawa Police Board Services Board says it has requested Ottawa Police conduct an operational review of its response to an illegal convoy fireworks display after becoming aware of a possible discrepancy in information presented by Ottawa Police at a board meeting this week. Oops, in response to questions from Convoy Watch about information presented at its February 26th board meeting, Ottawa's Police Services Board acknowledged a possible discrepancy in information presented. For one, Ottawa Police Chief first falsely claimed fireworks were not deployed while police were on scene. Upon attendance, there were no fireworks being deployed, and thus no charges were issued. Remember the
You didn't
the end of the
see it
video.
happen, so it didn't happen.
So as I replayed the video, Casey himself says this cop does not look happy.
And you heard the siren in the background.
Well, the siren might have been a car alarm or something. I don't think it was a police siren. But it's just there's the police vehicle right there. I'm like, that does not end. That does not look good. And you know what? He had more to say. Let's see how well this works.
However, this narrative is being drawn from what I'll refer to as the fireworks incident on the Saturday night during the Family Day weekend. In the evening, our patrol officers responded to reports of noise and fireworks. And I'll note here that this incident occurred hours after the demonstration had ended and our deployment was complete. So upon attendance, there were no fireworks being deployed, and thus no charges were issued as the individual who set off the fireworks wasn't identified. The tension and angst from the protest group was elevated when bylaw services attended the scene. We requested bylaw services to leave the area in an effort to de-escalate the situation. As such, they did not issue any tickets and left the area. This is a decision made on the ground to avoid potential violence, and I will not second guess it. The OPS did not instruct bylaw services to not write tickets during the weekend, but simply to leave that particular situation. The remaining OPS officers ensured demonstrators understood the boundaries of lawful behavior, and they stopped this activity. While there were reports of some noise after officers left, there were no significant events that night. However, bylaw does inform that they have an open investigation on the fireworks incident.
Does Eric Stubbs think that just because he says, I will not second guess it so firmly, that none of us should second guess it? Because guess what? I'm second guessing it. It's bullshit. Your cops didn't know how to call in backup so that they could execute what needed to be executed. You guys showed them that you're weak, and it's okay to just walk away and be weak because those fucking clowns scared you. You think that's a better look, Eric Stubbs? Because I'm going to second guess that decision. I don't care if you're not.
Yeah. Stubbs is saying that, that there's no fireworks. And then we have Acting Inspector Julie Mann, who was the commanding officer apparently at the time. Sorry, the incident commander for that evening. Apparently also reported that they did not observe fireworks when it was, and this is where they started getting kind of confused. Mann told the police board that officers responded to a disturbance at the intersection of Kent and Queen Street just after 6 p.m. And then they said, after they left that they didn't see it. Now, again, Convoy Watch did a great job in regards to capturing all sorts of things. Particularly the timestamps contradict Auto Police's presentation of the board. Version of events presented by Stubbs and senior officers suggests that fireworks were set off before officers arrived and stopped after police intervened and told Convoy supporters to knock it off. Videos recorded by Convoy Watch, as well as live streams posted, videos posted, Daisy and others, by Convoy supporters show definitively this is not true. Before 7 and 7:30, at least 4 Ottawa police cruisers were present at the scene dealing with angry crowds before the fireworks incident. And they even captured here where you see the police officers as well as the times, around 7:07 as well as 7:25. Shortly, and they even reconstruct the timeline here because I didn't want to go through the whole thing. Shortly before 7:30, multiple police cruisers left the scene, leaving only one cruiser behind to deal with the crowd, as we saw in Daisy's video.
And who the fuck does that? What kind of a police force leaves one officer?
Hang on, we'll get to that. We'll bring that point up after for sure. But timestamps of the video show one officer was on the scene and watched the first round of fireworks on the roadside. The lone police cruiser left the scene 20 minutes later. With no police presence whatsoever, convoy supporters spent the next half hour randomly lobbing objects resembling cherry bombs into the air and setting off a second round of fireworks. I strongly encourage everybody who wants to see a little bit more about the videos and the photos to go over to Convoy Watch and take a look at a lot of the additional images as well as video footage that they collected. Again, they did a fantastic job here, especially in regards to showing the police you're not on the up and up. Thank you, Leclerc, for sure. But yes, your first point, Deana, which is absolutely critical and true.
Like one cop by themselves, they don't even go to a call until the second officer has arrived. There's always two cops who go to a call at minimum. So the fact that that cop would, so it can't be both things. You're either too worried about a cop's safety, which means that cop shouldn't have been by themselves for 20 minutes, or that cop felt safe enough to sit there for 20 minutes, and so did the rest of the police force for not ensuring that that cop had backup in case they needed it. Like, you can't have it, you can't play it both ways.
Agree. It was weird.
Yeah.
Putting it. It's just weird that they do that.
It's a safety issue too. Like, you don't get to decide that they don't have to get a ticket. Like, we're not even just talking about noise. We're talking about these morons setting off fireworks.
Yeah, you're
in a parking lot where there's cars and shit like that.
You've shown more effort and more force to give a ticket to one person in the middle of a large crowd with a megaphone during the day than you did to people firing off fireworks in a parking lot at night.
Yeah, like a fucking bush party was happening, or tailgate party. Like, so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, this police chief was supposed to fix the issues that supposedly we were having because of the last police chief. And that is not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of passing the buck. I'm seeing a lot of the exact same, well, a police officer wasn't there when it happened, so we can't lay charges, which is also bullshit, or we can't arrest anybody or fine anybody or whatever the fuck it is. I just heard that myself last week. Like, it's garbage. It's a garbage response. And it's not going to fly. Like, we had dealt with bullshit in 2022.
Yeah.
We have expectations. And not only do we have expectations, we have spent more of our money to fund the police force. And you bring
They
in
got
this
$17
Eric
million.
Stubbs.
Yeah.
I think Bell should have been our police chief. I think Bell should have been the police chief. I think he should have been.
I don't know if he would have been as effective, good, or caused the same problems. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I can't say one over the other one. But I agree with you with, like, the current one right now. This is not a good look.
Where did he come from? He came out of nowhere.
Well, let's be honest here. It's not like I've tracked police chiefs and who they are. I don't know if you do. So weird hobby.
I know that Slowly came in from Toronto, and that he was like the police chief during the G20, or was it G20 or G7? It was the G20, and he had, that kind of experience behind him. I have a question. Trish, that Trish lady that was in the meeting, isn't she OPP? Why is she part of the police? Trish Ferguson. Wasn't she OPP? She testified in the POEC.
She might be former OPP, and now she might be just a resident of Ottawa.
I can't remember. No, she was in uniform. Maybe she was higher up in the OPS. I can't remember now. I think maybe she was liaising with the OPP. I don't know. I don't remember.
So, quick answer to Steve's question, or more follow up on Steve's comment. I'm like, Steve says here, it's said that the case is still open and to investigating. I agree, and it's true. They are keeping the case open to investigate, but I'm also thinking they have to say that right now
They are
because
saying that.
could you imagine if
So
they said
please,
it's?
thank you, babe.
Could you imagine if they said, "Oh, well, the case is closed and we're done"? Right now, probably the worst thing to say right now. They could be, they could be actually investigating, or they could be just saying, "Yeah, we're investigating."
Well,
Just
they
wait a
can't
week
say
or
that they're
two, and
not
that's
going to
it.
ticket after all the uproar. So they have to say something that
That's
looks
exactly it.
like something's being done. I just I
Yeah.
have very little trust left. I need it to
For
come back.
patients.
It's trust. It really is the trust.
That's fair. Going back to Alberta.
Berta.
This one's sad news. Well, this one's kind of sad news. So this is Westlock, Alberta,
Mm.
who had a plebiscite and voted to get rid of the rainbow flags, or pride flags, sorry, or any non-governmental flags on any building surfaces. This gets a little bit more difficult as we go on. The residents of Westlock voted in favor of the bylaw Thursday that bans crosswalks and flags, and this crosswalks part that's difficult. Supporting political, social, or religious movements on commercial property, commercial entities. Just over 1,300 people voted, with 663 or 50.9% voting in favor and 639 voting against. That's a difference of 24 votes. Did this 24 votes? So again, we remind you, vote, regardless of what it is. The vote means that the town can only raise federal, provincial, and municipal government flags on public property. Crosswalks in the town, located about 90 kilometers northwest of Edmonton, can also be only painted in standard white striped pattern. A bylaw, which goes into effect within 30 days, forces the removal of Westlock's only rainbow crosswalk, painted last summer between Town Hall and the Royal Canadian Legion, in support of the 2S LGBTQ plus community. So, this is disappointing. But hopefully, sorry?
It's pretty extreme.
It is.
Like they can't even fly their Every Child Matters flags. They can't fly specific flags to represent specific things that are going on. Like it's gross. Like it's just so vanilla and stupid.
It is. Let's see here. As the person who did this,
We talked about this on Friday briefly, and we talked about
We
the
did.
age, like the demographic of that area. We talked about who is actually eligible to vote, like how many people are actually eligible to vote.
about 5,000 people are eligible to vote. So it
Right.
was about a quarter of the people that went out, and roughly about a quarter of the people went out to vote. And of that quarter, only half of it. So
an eighth, and an eighth.
an eighth of the town decided roughly about an eighth of the town decided the town is going to be non-2S LGBTQ.
Yeah.
It's going to ban all the flags with the intention, and let's be honest here, their intention was to do exactly that. Don't think of it as
And it's
anything
like
other than
like the demographic is older. I think we determined it was like a retirement-y type place.
that. Yes. Some people that were in the chats happening on Friday were mentioning that this is a town that's mostly older retired people. Younger people are kind of leaving. But there was also some prominent names. I was trying to see if I could find it quickly. I never got a chance to get that. I need to make sure to keep myself notes to go find these things. But it's a convoyer that was also in there. That was also advocating to get the people out, and they did. So, absolutely, as Purple Mavis says, 18% of Ontario voted for Ford, and
That's only
an
1/5
Yeah, and an eighth so even an even less percentage for Westlock voted for this. Now, the good news is Norfolk, the town that we talked about months ago, who had reported that they were also removing their flags, have reversed the decision as of January from overwhelming public public messaging issues.
Backlash. Yeah.
Public backlash came in strong from everywhere, and so they dialed it back.
So there's
To
still
me,
hope.
that's exactly it.
Westlock.
There is hope for Westlock. There is hope for the government in regards, and for the people of Westlock, especially the TS LGBT community there.
And I'm sure that people of Westlock are probably irritated that this even became a thing when they probably have way more important things that they would like to be dealing with. So
Again,
this will
we
probably
can't
piss them off.
hopefully, but again, we're speaking for the population we're not aware of. But if Norfolk could be reversed by enough pressure by the people, Westlock could be the same. I mean, it worked for Norfolk. It worked for a lot of venues when it came to danger cats. And if you want to know about that, go take a look at my postings yesterday and the day before in regards to that. It definitely can be changed. It can be changed. It can be stopped. It can be reversed. It just needs one thing, and that's people. These people to be able to do the bare minimum in regards to vote comes time. Again, you don't need to be at protest events, but write to your MPs, write to your MPPs, write to people to make sure you can influence in saying, hey, this affects you. This affects them how. So get the message out. Let's try to stop these things before it gets worse. But yeah, absolutely. Weird with my. The last thing we're going to go into gets a little bit heavier, so I am going to warn people. We're going to discuss things on a couple of different issues, including things related to Next Benedict. For those who are familiar with that story, let me get that ready here. Everybody's aware. Next Benedict, tragic loss of life in an incident down in Oklahoma. We're not going to discuss it too much because I think everybody knows the opinion on this, and the story's been told often enough right now as it is, and people have done a much better job than I can explain in this short amount of time. Only thing I to say is in regards to Sue Benedict, the mother of Next Benedict, is that they're very happy in regards to the outpouring of support going to them in regards to this. Again, showing up or speaking up matters because it helps people like this. Now, if we can sort of address it beforehand, even better. But while we all saw the incident in regards to Next Benedict, I don't think everybody also saw another situation that occurred. And again, this goes back to Alberta, and this ties together. So give me some time to explain the whole thing. So the tragic events of Next Benedict was the result of government policy changing and people continuing the messaging and vilifying of trans youth and transgender people being the danger and the boogeyman, which I will say to everybody right now, they're not. People trying to live their lives. But it's not limited to Oklahoma and a couple of pockets in the States, as many people know. We've also had it recently in Alberta. And as this particular email, and I have got a video to go with this in a moment here. This is an email from a gentleman by the name of Chad Oman. The short of it is, as their email in the premiere, today I learned that a friend of mine had Calgary police at his door this weekend to inform him that his transgender nephew committed suicide in Edmonton. His choice to end his life had a direct and contributing factor, your decision to restrict the rights of trans people and parents of trans kids and youth in Alberta. And I've actually got the recording here of the person speaking to the breakout in Alberta. in regards to the incident, and this is the uncle in question. Moment here.
Hi. So thanks very much. It's late, and it's been a horrible 2 days. The short version is 2 nights ago, 2 members of the Calgary Police Service came to my home and asked to come inside and speak with me. And that's when I learned that my trans nephew had died by suicide. As a rational person, as just a person in our world, and also as a family doc, I sort of figured and thought there's a reasonable chance that these horrible policies that were unveiled in that disgusting video by Premier Smith probably didn't help. And yesterday, I learned that they not just didn't help, that they were a contributing cause. That my trans nephew had been worried for quite some time and actually had messaged me in the past about concerns about the growing trans hate in the United States and in Canada, but that specifically he was very scared and felt quite isolated as a direct result of Premier Danielle Smith's unveiling of her planned policies.
I don't think that those people are capable of taking responsibility. Yeah, like I feel like too many more children are going to give up. And if any of those children happen to be watching, they need to know that we're not giving up. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better, and we'll fix this. It looks really grim right now because of all the stuff that's happening. But if you believe in history, then you'll believe that history repeats itself, and you'll believe that we always win. Human rights will always win because we'll all make sure that it does. It's terrible. Like,
It is.
it's terrible that this child thought that they,
This didn't need to happen.
No, it didn't.
This wasn't accidental. This wasn't an accident or something like that. This was caused by abuse in both of them. I'm putting both of them in there. This is caused by abuse that was made by people. Some out of fear, some out of hate, and some out of just pure fucking opportunity. Whichever the case is,
Yeah.
I don't care. You're all fucking evil. You did this to children. So when you tell me that you're, trying to save the children, fuck you. Where
Yeah.
were you for these children?
And all the warnings.
Mhm.
And all of the literature, facts, families reaching out on behalf of their trans children trying to reach out, their voices aren't being heard by these assholes. So this stuff keeps happening. And
We've said this messaging.
Yeah.
And we're repeating messaging of people that we know who've been saying the same messaging in regards to any of this hate that grows and turns into legislation or things like that will harm people.
Yeah.
We said this was going to happen. They said this was going to happen. Everybody's been saying this is going to happen. Guess what? It happened.
No
get it now?
child that learns about other people, no child that learns about sex ed will take their lives because of it. But a child that isn't represented or a child that is denied the same bodily autonomy as anybody else will lose their life, or the risk is much higher that they will lose their life. They can commit suicide, but children who learn
They
about
have.
these things will not.
Yep.
So you need to like stop acting. If you're one of those people, stop acting like your child is going to be forever harmed because they learn about stuff. Like, it's so ridiculous. The self-victimization or imposed victimization on their own children these bigots have and do. And it's not even a real thing. It's not real. But what's happening to trans youth is real. It's a real
It's
consequence.
it's very disappointing from going from, if you guys get this, this is going to happen, and now we've crossed over to, you guys have got this, and it's going exactly the way we said it was going to go, which is this is now happening. Didn't want to see it, didn't want it to get to this point, but here we are. And again, when a child is being told that their existence is wrong and illegal, and how do they not go into depression?
Purple Mavis says they still see suicide as a sin. And I'll raise that. And I'll say that suicide may be a sin, but anybody who contributes to someone's suicide is an accomplice to that sin. And therefore they are sinners. And they are worse sinners because they brought someone to that point. So if somebody is facilitating that anguish and that place of darkness because they're not caring for the people that they are entrusted to care for, whether it be because you are elected to care for your entire constituency, or whether it be a priest or anybody who speaks this bullshit into the fucking space that we all live in, and it contributes to somebody's suicide, you are more guilty. And God knows your intentions. So if you're a believer, you must believe that God knows all, and God knows what you've done and the role that you've played in somebody's suicide.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently that story really, there was nothing fun or good about it. That's the end of what we got here. So join us again next week, Wednesday, 9:30. We'll continue. Hopefully have some better news. As well as don't forget to join us on Friday. We'll get together. Again, this is when you guys get to be able to tell us what you guys want to talk about on our spaces. Join us on Twitter Spaces. And again, go check out our LinkedIn trees. We got all sorts of information, including Benny Taro's GoFundMe, as he's still dealing with the case, as well as in Deana's Linktree. And I correct that if she doesn't have it right now, because I'm about to call her on it. Information in regards to Films with Philistine. So that's the point. Yeah. So
and we also have a Twitter account. So now that I'm no longer locked out of my account for my violent speech that had zero violence in it, I am now free. I will be reposting that Twitter page. Please follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram.
So I don't have it, but Deana has it in her link tree. So by all means, again, in our link tree, so we got some information there. Until then, we'll leave you this one last video. Hopefully helps.
Good night.
Good night.
No, your mom don't get it, and your dad don't get it, Uncle John don't get it. And you can't tell Grandma 'cause her heart can't take it, and she might not make it. They say don't dare, don't you even go there, growing out your long hair, you do as you're told. Till you wake up, take off all that makeup, this is just a phase you're gonna outgrow. There's something wrong in the village, in the village. Oh.